About a year ago, I read this book, Toyota Kata, by Mike Rother, and it really struck home with me. And one of the things, as I read the Toyota way, and I've studied a few things that Toyota does, I realized that their culture is really what drives everything forward with them. And so this book really rang home because he really talks about the culture that happens at Toyota and how they do continuous improvement, not from a standpoint of saying, okay, here's a fire we've got going on, how do we fix that? But how do we strategically improve our business models? And then, if any of you are familiar with martial arts, kata is just a practice routine. So if you get into karate or one of those things, you'll have a kata that you do every time you go to the gym, and you'll do your workout. And that's really what Toyota Kata is about. However, with that being said, we decided that we probably wouldn't do it exactly the way Toyota does it. And so we don't call it Toyota Kata at all at our place. We don't say that we're doing kata. At Cookshack, we do chalk talks, because we put them up on a chalkboard and we get around that and we talk about it. We use the almost all the principles out of the book. We've stayed very close to it, but we'll do a few little minor changes to make it Cookshack's way. So the coaching process is really simple. This is kind of the starting spot. So this right here tells you what the current condition is. It talks about who is involved, and it's a document that resides out on a board somewhere, either in the plant or in the office, where any employee at any time can walk by and see what's going on this chalk talk. So I'm going to start by, I cheat. I should have these memorized, and I kind of do, but I was afraid that, while I was making a presentation, I would forget. So So this would be your normal coaching session. We'd walk up to a board. These take less than 5 minutes to do. So if you can take 5 minutes of coaching time a day, it's a very simple process. I'm going to walk up to the board and I'm going to say, Amy, what is your target condition?
My target condition is to establish standard work for all transactions affecting inventory, reduce item adjustments to no more than 5% of the items counted.
So one of the things that we wanted to do this year strategically is get our inventory in a better state. Our inventory was off, and so Amy's been working on that throughout the year. So that's her target condition. I then, and you say, okay, well, this gets rather monotonous because we do this every day, okay? But it really drives home what's the goal? What are you trying to accomplish? So the next question is, what's your actual condition now?
My actual condition is last month we counted 211 items, and of those, a total of 40 or 19% were adjusted. And we believe that a major cause of inventory inaccuracy is the absence of standard work for transactions.
So we're immediately, and that actual condition changes. So as she's working her way through this, that actual condition is going to get updated on her board as she walks her way through this challenge, okay? So the next question is very simply, what obstacles do you think are preventing you from reaching this target condition? And so we have an obstacle parking lot that we have for this. So Amy, what are your obstacles?
We have outdated standard work for vendor returns, no standard work for counter sales, items are being sold as non-stock items that have part numbers, and there's no invoicing for grocery items used in-house.
So we'll just walk down the list. What are the obstacles that are in the way? The next question then is, which one of these are you addressing now?
I am actually addressing the vendor returns.
Okay. And then, so then the next question comes back to, this is the record of the plan, check, do, acts. Okay, so every day we try to break this down so that Amy can spend 20 minutes of her day working on this. So what's she going to be able to accomplish in 20 minutes that day? So the next question is very simply, what is your next step?
To develop a list, the last step or the next step?
What is the next step?
The next step. Okay.
Should be what is the last step. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, Amy. See, this is what happens when you get a rookie up here doing this. What is your last step, Amy?
My last step was to develop a list of all transactions that affect inventory.
And what did you expect?
I expected to have a complete list of all the transactions that could contribute to inaccuracy.
And what actually happened?
I was able to construct a complete list of transactions that impact inventory.
And what did you learn?
There are many more transactions that could be contributing to inventory inaccuracy than we originally expected.
And that's really the most important thing in this, is to try to get people to learn from what they're going through as they do this. And so then the next question is, what is your next step?
My next step is to draft standard work for all items on the list, beginning with vendor returns.
And this is where the coaching really becomes a factor, because at this point in time, as a coach, I'm going to stand here and listen to what Amy says is her next step. And I'm thinking through, okay, does that sound like a reasonable next step? Does it sound like Amy can do that in her 20 minutes that she has to do? And so if not, I may follow up with some questions around that, okay? But it's never the coach's job to say to the learner, hey, Amy, I think that's a really lousy next step. Can you do something different? That's never part of the question. So, and then the final question is, when can we go and see what you've learned from taking the next step? Or otherwise, when are we going to do this again?
We can meet tomorrow about 3 o'clock.
Fantastic. Thank you, Amy. So that is the whole coaching routine. I mean, it is just that simple. You think, and I really thought when I read the book, my initial thought was, okay, well, what's that going to do for us? You know, I mean, sure, I mean, it gives you some ideas, but I mean, as a coach, I'm thinking, okay, if I'm coaching this, I really need to be telling them what to do, right? It's not about that at all. It's about getting people engaged and empowering them to go out and do the things they need to do. And it really fits into our core values very, very well. So that is what Toyota Kata is all about, what we call Chalk Talk. Like I say, we've modified it just briefly from there. We've used that same principle to do things like, how do we retain employees? How do we get better employees? We've done it from everything from, you know, how do we, well, I'll tell you two that we're working on currently that are really huge for us. What should our marketing messages be to our sandbox? So our marketing manager has a Chalk Talk going on, and she's trying to refine out what's that message that we want to get out to our customer. And then our sales department has one going on right now of how do we want to go sell our products, because we've been a manufacturer that's sold their products all over the board in the past. So we've used those things to really do from, you know, something basic like maybe why isn't our efficiency ratio down the line where it needs to be, to high level, how do we sell our products? So there's all kinds of ways that you can do that. We've even done one, we are working towards having a charity based out of our company that we can help employees and others in our community. And we've set this same thing up to establish that. Amy's working on that as she develops setting up the company and all the things that have to be accomplished to become a 501c3. So you can use it for just about anything you want to use it for. I think we've gotten a lot better buy-in with the Kata than we did when we started with Lean, just because we've changed our culture and we're trying to get everybody involved. And you know, when we started Lean initially, it was you know, push it down the throat kind of thing. And this, you know, we've definitely tried to make this so that we encourage employees to be involved. And I think, you know, we have employees that want to be involved now, so we haven't had to go out and say, hey, look, you know, you have to do this. We've got employees coming to us saying, hey, we want to be in this. And a good example of that is we've had a employer of choice team for a year now, and we just wanted to revamp that team. And so I went out and asked for volunteers, said we need 25 volunteers to be on this team. We got 33 out of 50 employees volunteered to be on that team. So I definitely think that it's helping, change that culture and get people where they want to be involved in those things. When we started Toyota Kata, we had a consultant come in and kind of give us about a 2-day little process to go through on that. And I would recommend that, even though you could probably do it without it. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And our goal is to have every employee trained, and we've set up a training program for our Choctaws, and our goal is to have every employee in the organization trained to be a learner, to be able to go out there and actually do the work, and then to have about half of our employees trained to be coaches. So. And we really try to determine that from every year as we do our strategic plan. We come up with some quarterly initiatives to say, okay, here's what we need to do this quarter, and we try to build those katas out of that. So rather than just go to a board and say, here's the problem today, it's how do we get to the next level. So,
Who makes that determination of which one they're going to work on? Is that through the supervisor or manager of that area?
Yes. Yes, so it's going to start at an exec level, so the exec team's going to set those things up. From a production standpoint, Jim's going to go out to his supervisors and say, here's what we need to do, which ones you guys want to work on? And they pick them and they go. And they may have a problem at some point in time that they say, hey, a good example is our residential product line's been a little slow this year. And so they've wavered between 3 and 4 operators running that line. And when they go to 3, their efficiency ratio is just horrible. When they have 4, their efficiency ratio is really good. So they just real recently, the supervisor in that area said, hey, I need to do a kata based upon those efficiency ratios when we make that change, so that we stay where we need to be with our efficiency ratios. So some of it is sometimes based upon a need at the moment, but we try to bring it more into that strategic plan of, okay, what's the top level goals that we want to get to?